underestimate. SB and Sean breaking through the noise, serving real talk, the genuine choice. No pretense, no hidden schemes. Just sports, passion, fueling dreams. From the field to the court, every play that's made. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up, hear the honest sound. Unfiltered sports all year round. Discussions pure, no masquerade. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up. Over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates.
And we are live. Sbtalksports Sean Webb, Real Takes Over Fake Debates. It is Monday, Sean. How are you doing, brother?
Doing good, SB. How you doing, man?
Chilling, can't complain. Cannot complain at all, man. It's another good Monday. We got some football. My Chargers play today. Sorry to hear Tiff, y'all for to take this L. But yeah, I can't complain, man. Can't complain at all. What's up with you, man?
Been doing good, man. You know, just ready for Thanksgiving week, man. A lot of games, a lot of stuff going on, and looking forward to Thanksgiving week and getting into this podcast tonight, man.
Yeah, and I'm already ready for the Fetty Wap song to get to the yams. We hit the playlist because I already know. Because I think he gonna start to get that cycle. I don't know if he's gonna get big because Mariah Carey to put in work over the years, but around the time of the year that Fetty Wap yams gonna hit the playlist, as soon as after Thanksgiving over, everybody's gonna be prepared for Mariah Carey Christmas song to be the number one song played. It's just a cycle that's going on. But I definitely
and don't forget Slade the remix guy with the greens,
potatoes, tomatoes. Who name? He said you name it. but yeah, so we got to start the show with some breaking news. Quarterback Daniel Jones clears waiver and now is officially became a free agent. What's your reaction to this? But just to give you the 411 of what's going on right now, he wants to go to a playoff contending team. That's the first thing that's on his idea. He's free to go whatever he wants to. From what I was seeing, I don't know how true it is. But it's rumored that the Detroit Lions could be on top of that list. So what's your reaction to Daniel Jones clearing waivers, and what do you think he might end up playoff team?
Obviously, it was expected he would clear waivers. No team was going to pick him up, you know, with his current contract or his last contract with the Giants. Certainly, you know, there are teams that are interested in him, right? He's a quarterback who's played a lot of games, has obviously a great deal of experience, has played in the playoffs as well. Two teams that come to mind for me, I'll give one an NFC team and one AFC team. The NFC team for me would be Arizona. They really don't have a seasoned backup behind Kyler Murray. So I think they could be, you know, an interesting spot for him. And then the AFC team is actually one of the teams playing tonight. It's your Chargers. That I think it would be a good spot for him to go. Obviously, I think the Chargers are obviously right now, a playoff team. Certainly, you know, wanting a season backup behind Justin Herbert.
That's the case.
I think really matters. So those would be the two teams I would think of. Certainly, there's some others, but given that he wants to be on a playoff team, a playoff contender, and you know, and maybe even wants a chance to play late in the season potentially. After getting wherever he gets, those would be the two teams that I would think of. And I would say, SB, really quickly, apparently one of the things with him is that he is very much okay with signing on a team's practice squad. So things about him signing on a practice squad is that if he's on a practice squad of a playoff team and another team has a quarterback injury or a quarterback issue, that team could conceivably sign him from that.
Sign him
off. Otherwise, the team would have to, if he was on the 53-man roster, they'd have to release him. he'd have to clear waivers, and he'd have to do so prior to the playoffs starting. So there's some, rationale behind him doing that, but definitely expect him to sign. I would say probably sometime this week with the team, and then go from there. But where do you think he could potentially go?
I like that you brought up my Chargers, because definitely we will probably need a season backup just in case. Even though Herbert seems like super durable, but you never know, anything could happen. For me, I think going to the Lions, you can't never deny that. If the Cowboys are actually a playoff contending team, I would definitely see them go right to the Dallas Cowboys. For the NFC, I think I'll be petty and say, even though I know they got a backup, just go to the Eagles, add more fuel to the fire. But if I was him, I would probably consider the Vikings. If I was in the NFC, the Vikings, I think, would be a good situation, especially with like Sam Darnold, that got already hurt a couple times this year already. And I think him going to the Vikings would be a good place for him to go. That's definitely a playoff contender team. For the AFC, I'm thinking like playoff contender team wise, or people in the hunt for a playoff spot. Miami Dolphins, of course. I definitely like to knock on wood. Tua has been great. It has been healthy so far. But I think that's a team you can highly consider where I could get opportunities for. So if I had to pick two teams for him, AFC, Miami Dolphins, NFC, the Minnesota Vikings, for sure. Speaking of the NFC, Sean, we got to honestly talk about this. And I think the NFL has a chance to actually solidify this award even more, because people have been complaining that this is a quarterback-driven award, which it is true. Saquon Barkley just went off this last game, and I think he seriously considered, after this last game, put himself in MVP conversation. 26 carries, 255 yards, average pretty much 10 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. And he had 47 receiving yards too, and 4 catches. Is it time to consider Saquon Barkley the MVP? AJ Brown already said he's the best player in the league, in his opinion. Is it time to consider Saquon Barkley the MVP? And it's also time to consider the Eagles a real deal. I know a lot of people fell off the Eagles bandwagon, but the Eagles are.
Yeah, so SB, absolutely, he should be in the MVP conversation. When you just look at what he's doing this season, he is on pace to break the single season rushing record yards wise. Now,
extra game, I know.
Let's put a little bit of asterisk by that, because also I believe the true single season rushing record is O.J. Simpson's 2,003 yards in 14 games. Eric Dickerson holds the record, 2105, but he got that in 16 games. So Saquon Barkley is on pace to potentially pass that record in terms of the single season yardage. SB, I said it last week. I tweeted it last night. Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles is Johnny Gill joining New Edition. They were already good, but this took them to another level.
Yes.
And it did it for both parties. This has been actually too good. And watching him last night, I mean, it was, and again, it's almost unfair. And I will say this too. The Eagles offensive line, I thought was going to take a little bit of a hit losing Jason Kelce to retirement, right? Because obviously Jason Kelce is All-Pro, Pro Bowler, probably in the Hall of Fame. They are back to what they were 2 years ago on the offensive line. When you watch them and how they move the line of scrimmage, those 5 guys up front move the line of scrimmage. I don't think Saquon has ever played behind a line like this. And obviously we know he hasn't played with the talent like this of Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. Devontae Smith was out last night, but he is taking them to another level. And if you notice, nobody's complaining about touches. Nobody's complaining about stats. Everybody's locked in on trying to win. And I think the reason why some people were so hesitant on the Eagles was because of Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
But we got to give Nick Sirianni some credit. He's figured out exactly what he should be doing in these games. You know, Kellen Moore has gotten more comfortable. Their defense is number one. They have the number one ranked defense in the NFL. I know the Chargers are right there behind them, but you know, this is a very, very scary team. And they are a legit threat to the Detroit Lions. Whether they go to Detroit or Detroit has to come to Philly,
I need that game.
Yeah, listen, the NFL better hope that's the NFC Championship game right now. They better hope, because it is
all I'm saying too, though, and I'm always gonna bring this up. It's crazy how y'all devalue your position. Two of the best teams in the NFC right now is their best players are running backs, and their running backs carry their team. So y'all can miss me with that. Running backs have no value. Ended today. Ended.
And you know what, SB, to that point, in the last year or so, we've lost two of the greatest running backs of all time, Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson. I feel like it's a little kismet that we are seeing now the resurgence of the stud running back, and the value of having that type of running back. And when you just look at college and some of the guys coming out of this college draft, Ashton Genty and Devin Neal from Kansas, who had an amazing game the other day against Colorado. I think you're going to start seeing teams put greater value in that position because of what the Saquons and Derrick Henrys and the Joe Mixons and the Josh Jacobs, who had a monster game yesterday, Gibbs and the combination of Gibbs and Montgomery, whether they get one guy or they're trying to find a combination of guys. You know, the Buccaneers do it with three guys, you know, and so it's really truly a running back by committee. But like you said, no longer devaluing the running back position. And next year, there's no way Saquon Barkley is not the first pick in fantasy football. There's no way. So
definitely the first pick. By far, easily the first pick. No, for me, I definitely think you do have to consider him for MVP. I was looking at the MVP ladder list right now. I think they got Lamar at 1, Josh Allen at 2, Jared Goff at 3, Mahomes at 4, Saquon at 5. And I honestly think it's like I said, this proved my point about the quarterback award, because I think Saquon Barkley is ahead of Patrick Mahomes right now by far over Jared Goff. Now you want to do the Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson conversation? Cool. But I think he should be at that point when it comes to the MVP. And I think if somebody don't have just a truly outstanding year, because the Ravens have been up and down this year. So I think you can truly bring that value back and truly solidify the running back position again, which probably a lot of franchises probably don't want that, because that's one more position they got to start paying their money to, by giving Saquon the award if he finished the season out good. Because if the Ravens like how they playing, I'm just saying,
So I'll say this, Desby, and this is where it's going to get interesting about the MVP conversation. So the last running back to finish second or top 2 in MVP voting, you know who it was?
The last one?
The last one.
What year was it? You give me a hint for a year.
2017.
It wasn't Derrick Henry, was it?
It
wasn't AP. AP was done around that time, so it wasn't AP. 2017. Who was good of 2017?
He's no longer in the league.
Todd Gurley?
Todd Gurley.
Okay, I was thinking that was going to be my next guess. Yeah, Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was a dog on the Rams. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So what it will take, honestly, I think, for Saquon to win the MVP, and even it's not a guarantee, because even the year Eric Dickerson set the single-season rushing record, he didn't win the MVP. But it wasn't because he didn't have a great year. It was just somebody else did something that had never been done before in Dan Marino. Throwing for 5,000 yards, 48 touchdowns, wasn't beating that. That said, that said, what Saquon's doing, this is very similar to Walter Payton winning the MVP in 77. O.J. Simpson winning in 73. This is very, very similar to that. He is without question in the MVP conversation. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get MVP votes. And again, if he finishes the season over 2,000 yards,
we gotta. How many touchdowns he got? Because you got to count the receiving and rushing. Right now, he's at what? 8 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns.
Right, and again, keep in mind, he plays with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts runs the football. Jalen Hurts, gets the touchdowns, some touchdowns on the brotherly shove. So a lot of voters aren't
brotherly shove is crazy.
Yeah, they're not gonna hold. I don't call it that other thing because it's weird. But that said, it would not shock me if voters don't hold that against Saquon, because again, you play with someone else who scores a lot of touchdowns. So this is going to be very, very interesting. But if he gets over 2,000 yards, which we know hasn't been done often, it is definitely going to be a major conversation.
Yeah, no, I think it got to be, because he changed the whole dynamic of the Eagles too, where the Eagles was like, oh, we don't really know about the Eagles no more. But for me, I think, because I know the owners like to be cheap, which is just perfectly understandable. But Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles showed me that a lot of teams waste a lot of good, talented players, because Saquon could have stayed right back on the Giants and his talent has been wasted. So if Saquon goes, get this MVP, show that the running back deserves just as much value as any other position, somebody can go argue, hey, we should stop paying off position and stay in our production. So instead of dropping the running back money, because that ain't a little done, you can probably drop the quarterback money. So now because what just happened? We seen somebody get overpaid at a position, Daniel Jones. We just talked about the story before, where he got released because they picked him over clearly the better player off his position. Because no other sport does this. Nobody be like, hey, you know what? I know my small forward is the best player on the team, but the point guard, because he's the extension of the coach, I'm finna pay him the most money. No, it's who the best player on the team should get paid like he's the best player on the team. Because guess what? If the Giants would have moved like that, they probably could have got Daniel Jones for a reasonable contract of his worth, and they could have kept Saquon Barkley.
Right.
So I think adding that would change the whole dynamic back. Or shout out to the running backs.
And this also goes back to when they made the decision to decline Daniel Jones' 5th-year option. I'm a firm believer, principally, if you decline a player's 5th-year option, get rid of him.
Yeah.
If you're not going to pick it up, get rid of him. If you're picking up the 5th-year option, what it's telling me is that you're planning to extend this player. They declined the 5th-year option. He plays really solid football. Not to say he didn't. He played really solid football.
Yeah, when you got that, when you got somebody behind you,
right?
That's their story.
And so they really painted themselves in a bad space. My thing is, if you're going to keep him for that 4th year, pick up the 5th-year option. They didn't, and it ended up costing them a lot more in the long run. And now, obviously, he's not even on the team anymore. So it was just it's just a terrible business decision. As an NFL franchise, if you're going to decline the 5th-year option, move on from the player, because it's telling me you have no interest in keeping this player long term. Generally, when you pick up the 5th-year option, it's saying we still want to keep this guy long term, and we plan on doing a long-term extension with him at some point.
And they didn't do it, and they lost out on their best running back, best safety.
Their best, and that's the other thing too, because McKinney for the Packers, he's tied in for the league in interceptions. He was on the Giants last year, and they didn't pay him. So, listen, if I were a Giants fan, I would be livid. But yeah,
it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. But that's not the only team that's bad in New York, because we got the other team, the New York Jets, who are right now last in their division. As I remember, I want to get the exact record as I'm looking it up. They're last in their division. Oh, they're not. They're second to last. I forgot the Patriots was there too, who's just as bad. They 3-8. They traded for Devontae Adams. Don't really look like that made a difference. They fired their coach. Don't really like that made a difference. We were just talking about it earlier. They fired the GM, right? That didn't make a difference yet. So it got to the point even earlier this year that the owner wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers because he was playing bad. Now the question of Aaron Rodgers is his play and future with the Jets are in question. So obviously we see with the Daniel Jones situation where they benched him because they didn't want him to get injured, for money purposes. And you would think like, hey, maybe if the Jets giving up on Aaron Rodgers, you want to tank the year, get a high draft pick, and maybe you don't want to risk the chance of Aaron Rodgers getting injured so you can get rid of him. The New York Jets shut down any conversation about Aaron Rodgers sitting for the remainder of the season. Aaron Rodgers will play. First opinion, Sean, do you think this is a good or a bad thing?
So let me say this, SB, really quickly. I'm not a fan of shutting down a healthy player for the remainder of a season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sends a terrible message to your players, to your coaches, to your organization, and to your fan base that you're not trying to win. Now, some of that goes to the NFL and its antiquated draft system, which is the worst team automatically gets the best pick, the first pick. That's part of the problem. If you go and finally get yourself a draft lottery, NFL, teams would not do this, even if they know realistically, hey, we don't have a chance to make the playoffs. We're not a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been officially been eliminated, but we just don't foresee us being in this race. You can still be competitive and have a chance at a really good pick because of the lottery system, right? The worst team in the NBA does not always get the first pick. We see it year in and year out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the problem. But also, if you're shutting down a healthy player, particularly a healthy quarterback, what does that say to that guy who's been beating up their body all season long that you're telling, hey, go out here and play hard? Because if they don't play hard, they run the risk of not being on the team next year.
Yep.
So I think it's just a terrible precedent to set. But I understand the business side of it. If the Jets are saying, hey, listen, we're moving on from Aaron Rodgers, which again, I don't think is necessarily a given, because I think it depends on who's the new head coach, who's the new GM, right? If Woody Johnson, the owner, is mandating that, hey, Aaron Rodgers will not be back next season, then it doesn't matter who the new head coach and new GM is. But if you're the new head coach or GM and you're coming in and you're saying, hey, we have a veteran quarterback, we think there's some things we can do to help him and this team win as we're currently constructed, maybe Woody Johnson backs off of that proclamation. I don't know that to be necessarily what he's going to do. He seems, from all accounts, dead set on cleaning house because obviously he's gotten rid of the head coach, he's gotten rid of the GM, and it was seen that the quarterback who was brought in is going to be gotten rid of is going to be gone at a certain point as well. So I just think but shutting him down, no, that's because again, there's 52 other guys that you got to look at and say, but we need you all to go out and compete, even though we're shutting this guy down who's healthy.
Because you're telling me we don't want to win.
Right. And again, why? I mean, that's a terrible message. I don't like tanking. I understand, again, mediocrity gets you nowhere. But competitively, I just think it's just a terrible, terrible precedent to set.
Yeah, it's either you got to contend. If you ain't contending, there ain't no point of being middle of the pack at all. For me, I don't think they're gonna do it anyway. Because, like you said, for every exact reason you hit, so I want to beat the dead horse with every point that you said. But I 100% agree that because it set a bad precedence for the other players on the team. But also, I want to know, is the New York Jets done with Aaron Rodgers? Because I think they are. Because usually, and we have seen this already, anytime a new GM and then new GM come in, they want everything from what they want to do, from the staff, the coach, quarterback, So I think the New York Jets is done with Aaron Rodgers. I think it's over with. The Aaron Rodgers experiment is cooked. I feel bad for Devontae Adams because everywhere he go, the quarterback seems to die away. Sometimes the grass ain't green on the other side. Maybe you should just stay in Green Bay with Jordan Love. I get why you left. You didn't necessarily know what the kid could do, but I guarantee you'd have more fun in Green Bay than what you've done with the Raiders and the Jets. Or honestly, you could just finish the year out with the Jets. You was gonna get a quarterback. You go get somebody. We're gonna talk about him later. You know, you go get your quarterback. You just gotta wait for 1 year. But do you think the Jets are done with Aaron Rodgers?
I think it's presently constructed. Yes, my belief is again until you hire a new head coach and a new GM, if they come in and say, "Hey, we want to run with Aaron Rodgers 1 more year as a bridge quarterback. We're going to go out and get a young quarterback, whether in the draft or in free agency." You know, and we want to use Aaron Rodgers as a bridge quarterback. We know Aaron Rodgers. Now, here's the other question. Is Aaron Rodgers done with the New York Jets? Because that's the other side of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is feeling a little Brett Favre-ian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brett Favre went to the Jets and was only there for a year. That was not where he wanted to be in the first place, and he found a way to get to Minnesota, which is where he really wanted to go. You know, is Aaron Rodgers going to pull – you know, that same type of move?
You think he'll go to Minnesota too?
No, I my belief in Minnesota. I think Sam Darnold is going to be in Minnesota for a little while. I know they drafted JJ McCarthy, but the way Sam Darnold has played this season, I think he's earned the right to be the starting quarterback in Minnesota in 2025. And again, you don't have to rush JJ McCarthy on the field. There's no need to rush him if, again, Sam Darnold is still playing well and you're a team that's contending, you know, for the playoffs, which obviously we know Minnesota is. So I don't think Minnesota would be the spot for Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, very early to tell, but wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, that team needs to be thinking about their quarterback future. Again, the example is Atlanta, what Atlanta did with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. Same thing. If you bring in Aaron Rodgers, or you bring Aaron Rodgers back, or Aaron Rodgers is back on the Jets next season, they better have a young quarterback in waiting. You cannot do, you know, we're just going all the way with Aaron Rodgers and have no plan B, because you know your plan B is actually plan BS, and you're gonna find yourself out of a job.
I mean, how they record looking? They're gonna be high enough in the draft to get a quarterback. Cottage wants to know: is Aaron Rodgers a Hall of Fame first ballot? No question. Trust me, if we got Eli on the ballot, Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot. No question.
Yeah, to quote the great Gary Payton, he first ballot, boy. You better reckon it. He first ballot, boy. Yeah.
But yeah, I see that the Jets experiment is it could be possibly over with just because of the new. If the same GM was there, maybe I'd have been like, no, we can see another year. But it's just been a total disaster. I just think they need to start from scratch. We can't just develop a quarterback like how the Bears can, probably not, but we have to see. Sean, I think we might have got it wrong. So if you remember, obviously I'm a Chargers fan, so any AFC West team I'm making jokes about, besides my Chargers. Draft come. If you watch the draft, stay not go back. The clip is there. It'll go through the channel. The clip is there. Me and Sean laughed that they got Bo Nix. You know, we wasn't really fans of Bo Nix. We gave Bo Nix a lot of smack talk. I think did Bo Nix prove us wrong? And is Bo Nix the rookie of the year? This last couple games, Sean for to go down the list. 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception. The game before this, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The game after that against the Chiefs, 215. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They led the team down the field in the game-winning drive in field goal position, and didn't. Then the field goal got blocked. The game gets away for 223 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Against the Panthers, 284, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So in this last couple games, he had 3, 5, 9, 11 touchdowns, and like the last, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 games. like the last 5 games. I'm sorry, 5 games had 11 touchdowns. Only had 2 bad completion percentages in 2 games at 59, but every other game was either like high 70s, 75, but in the 80s. And every game besides the 2 games, his QB rating was through the roof. Was me wrong about Bo Nix? And is Bo Nix the rookie of the year over Jaden Daniels?
So let me say 2 things, SB. Obviously, Bo Nix has played well.
Very well.
He's played well. Now, is he the rookie of the year? I think because Jaden Daniels has come back down to earth a little bit. Certainly, Bo Nix is right there in the conversation. I don't think it's just an automatic given that Bo Nix is going to win rookie of the year. We'll see Bo Nix next Monday night on Monday Night Football against Cleveland. But let me say this about the Broncos. And if you've watched the Broncos this year, which, I know a lot of people don't watch the Broncos, their defense has only given up 20 points or 20 or more points in 2 games this season.
I know about the Broncos because I see them twice a year.
Yeah,
I know. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So obviously, we're in a space where quarterbacks get a lot of praise and but their defense and Vance Joseph, what he's done has been nothing short of amazing, considering there were people early last season, who wanted him gone when they gave up 70 points in a game. So that's a big part of it. The Broncos are playing really good complementary football, and Bo Nix is a part of that.
Yes.
But this is not just, the Bo Nix show, and he's just out. No. And also, again, Sean Payton traditionally has done well with putting quarterbacks in great positions to be successful.
Yes, he does.
Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston. Russell Wilson didn't work out too well, but that's a whole nother conversation. We understand there were some things there that probably did not help. But to be very, very clear, the Denver Broncos are playing really good complementary football right now, and Bo Nix is a part of that. Is Bo Nix the rookie of the year? I'm not going to just send the trophy to his house again. I do think Jaden Daniels, we can't discount what Jaden Daniels has done to start the season. Honestly,
it's a race now.
It's a race, and I think that's the key. It's a race. And Jaden Daniels, has got to figure something out. The fact that Jaden Daniels has struggled against man coverage these last few games is a little concerning. But other than that, I think it's definitely a race. But Bo Nix has played well. Can't take it away from him. He's played well.
And when I was just looking at the Broncos game and stat, because you said they only gave up 20. Actually, Sean, they only gave up. I mean, if you want to count 19 or 18, then yeah, you could argue that. But they only gave up 21s, and that was the first game of the season. Everything else has been 13, 7, 18, 6.
Right.
No, 23 to my chart. There you go right there. Yeah, 23 to my charts. I'm sorry.
So those are the only 2 games they gave up 20 or more points. That's it.
And we're
So
going to put the beast on them again, too, by the way. But you definitely going to put the beast on them again, by the way. But no, I can admit that I was wrong about Bo Nix. I was like too old, super senior. I made all the jokes, but Sean Payton and those boys in that Broncos defense have been good. I don't like giving my division rivals credit, but I have to tip my hat to them that they actually look good. And it's gonna be annoying. Like no other. Why me as a sports fan, right, Sean? Why do I do this, right? So the one team I like, finally get a quarterback. Good, Justin Herbert. Okay. Oh, you know who else in your division? Possibly the greatest quarterback of all, becoming the greatest quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, you got this one team who had this old washed up guy. We like, yay. Next year, they might just found their guy. Next thing we finna talk about too, because their quarterback just got injured. And if this guy come in and be how he's supposed to be, we might have the most stacked division when it comes to quarterbacks alone in the league. It's like, come on, man. Every game gonna be a gauntlet or a shootout.
Right.
I want to see that. Let me get one. I just want one. Just one. But it's but I can say back to on point. I definitely think Bo Nix making it a race now. Washington has come down to earth a little bit, and even with that last game against the Cowboys, it was a lot of things that was mishap wrong. Not even just with Jaden Daniels, and then you put yourself in a hole. Then you try to play get back real quick, because we could have a different story if that kick maybe didn't get blocked, or not kick block. I'm sorry, he just missed the extra point.
Right.
Because football varies every week. A play can change everything. Like, honestly, if a lot of things that didn't happen to the Chicago Bears, which is going to talk about too later, we'll be having a different conversation about them. So it's just a lot of things play a part, and I have to agree with you on that. Now, speaking of other team, we just talking about what I say. Another team in my team division who might get another elite quarterback because they finna be tanking. The Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Gardner Minshew is out for the season after breaking his collarbone against the Denver Broncos. Sean, I got 2 words for that. Perfect timing. It's perfect timing. And if you got the reference, you got it. If you don't, you're out the loop, baby. This is all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. Perfect timing to break your collarbone, which you don't ever want to wish injury on nobody. The Raiders are 2-9 right now. They're at the bottom of the league. You're trying to get that number 1 pick, or you're trying to get that top of the draft pick, which they will get. And it's for Shedeur Sanders, man. It's Shedeur already know he wants to go there. Shedeur already expressed that he want to go there. Like Travis already expressed he want to go to Denver. Tom Brady's already there. Who he say mentor him or who he's been talking to, Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's trained with him.
And Prime already said he's going to be involved with the draft process to make sure his son go to a good organization. The writing's on the wall. This is perfect timing for Shedeur. That's it. What's your reaction to this, though?
They probably weren't going anywhere anyway.
Yeah,
Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew he's okay. He was never the long-term answer. And again, I honestly think based on what they did this offseason, bringing in Gardner Minshew, obviously trying to roll with AOC, in a quarterback competition, they never were serious about getting a potential long-term solution this year.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was to punt it to next year. Now, the question is Antonio Pierce the head coach next year when they bring in this new quarterback who you're saying is Shedeur Sanders?
I hope they don't start the Deion to the Raiders stuff next year. I hope they don't.
So, I don't believe Deion would go to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
It would take a Godfather offer for him to go to the Raiders. And a Godfather offer is not just a lot of money, but a lot of control and a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Anything can happen, right? We've seen it. I just don't see that being high on his priority list. I think he's been pretty adamant about what he likes doing. But it is the Raiders. It is a legacy franchise. So we'll see. But yeah, again, there's no long-term answer at quarterback on that roster. They know it as of today, and it would seem that if they get the first pick, it would be Shedeur Sanders. Although I am not ready to automatically say Shedeur is the first quarterback off the board because I think Cam Ward is going to have something to say about that.
Only way Shedeur is not the first quarterback off the board if the Giants pick is higher than the Raiders. That's it. He ain't. I'm trying to tell you, he ain't going. He ain't going. Whatever the Raiders are, that's where he's going. He ain't going no lower. Whatever the Raiders pick is.
I tell you this, SB. I've seen situations where you thought, "Oh, this is definitely the guy." Blah blah blah, and then this guy gets in your building, and it's a different animal when you get that guy in your building, and it's not even watching him work out. is watching him interact with people in the building, and you get him on the whiteboard and all that stuff. It can completely change what an organization was absolutely locked in on doing. There's guys that come in with a plan and say, no, I'm going to show you why, you don't draft, and so that's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that Shedeur isn't a very good quarterback. He is. I'm saying there's another guy that's going to have something to say about that.
Now, Sean, speaking of quarterback, when you get rid of the offensive coordinator of your team and every other week you're losing in some strange way, Hail Marys, block field goals, it gotta come to the point in time where you got to figure out what's the problem is. The Chicago Bears are down. And, the saying is bear down, but the bear is down. How do the Bears keep finding a way to lose these games, Sean? It's like I said, they lost on a Hail Mary. They lost on the field goal being blocked. They just came back last game, and you got the gamer that you want from Caleb Williams, 32 for 47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, and led a drive down the field to send it to overtime. How do they keep losing the game? Who is the point to blame? Because now it's just like, if they just unlucky, like what's going on?
I think it's a couple of things. One, you can tell watching them, they're just not a team that's prepared well in situational football.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say to Thomas Brown, the interim offensive coordinator's credit, he has had that offense and Caleb Williams looking a lot better and playing a lot better. They're playing more physical. It seems like Caleb isn't out there trying to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Caleb had a couple. I watched a lot of that game yesterday. He had a couple throws where it was like, no, and it was like, oh, yes, because he was squeezing balls into some very, very tight coverage. You understand watching him yesterday. You understand why, to me, he was not without question the first pick of the draft. That said, it's situational football. And there was a play yesterday, with Caleb in overtime where he holds onto the ball way too long. He's running around, he's scrambling around, trying to, make a play. And at a certain point, you just got to get rid of the football.
Yep.
And he takes this huge sack, and it basically, kills that drive. Situational football. That's what, when you look at teams, you look at the head coach, how do they play situational football? And the Bears don't do that well at all.
So it sounds like it's a coaching problem.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about a team that doesn't perform well in certain situations, it's always going to come back to coaching. It's always going to come back to, are you preparing your team? And it's, again, it's 2 minute, 4 minute. What do we do in this scenario, right? You go out on the field, and coach says, here's the scenario. Here's what we have to do, right? We got, minute and a half, no timeouts. We gotta drive the ball 80 yards, and we're down 4, so we need a touchdown. Are you practicing those scenarios?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't appear that the Bears are preparing for certain situations in games. And again, to me, that's a reflection of your head coach.
And honestly, I don't want to wish nobody losing their job at all. Everybody got family fees and all that. I think for the Bears, this has been a blessing in disguise. Because remember, we had my guys from Shy Boys podcast on, and we was like, oh, yeah, he deserves to get another shot because, what he did. Because now, imagine, what if that Hail Mary didn't work? What if that field goal goes in? The Bears' record is looking like a little totally different. And, their division, how stacked this division has been. Now they've been hit a little different. Like, well, even though we're at the bottom of the division or third in the division, this is the best division in football by record, and they would have still been stuck with this guy. And they would have never seen the truth of the situation. So I think them losing like this is a blessing in disguise, telling you, like, hey, we are still in these games, and it shows on the field and on the tape that we've been seeing that we have not been fully prepared. We don't know what to do in these late game situations. The game has been mismanaged, And all these games have still been winnable. So you got the talent. Yeah, we got to work on the line a little bit. Yeah, we're going to add more experience with Caleb by letting go the ball. That's just overtime experience. But the guy who's leading the charge is not helping us at all. So I think this has been a blessing in disguise for the Chicago Bears, where it's like, okay, we know this ain't the guy.
Right.
Speaking of a team who's probably cursed, it ain't no blessing in disguise. It is the New York Giants. They've been cursed ever since they let Saquon go. So Malik Nabers, not happy that he losing. I don't think he's been happy since he's been drafted. I don't think he wanted to go to the Giants, but whatever. So obviously Daniel Jones, if you heard at the top of the show, that Daniel Jones released a cut and now he just cleared waivers. He's a free agent. The Giants lose, got their butt handed to him. Malik Nabers was quoted saying, when they asked about the existing problems with the team and them losing, he said, I mean, obviously it ain't the quarterback. Same outcome when we had DJ at quarterback, said Nabers. Referring to the change from Daniel Jones to Tommy DeVito, I mean, take a look. It ain't the quarterback. And then also he had another one from when he said it's not the quarterback fault. We are soft as bleep. And he also complained about him not getting the ball. He said, first, second quarter, I don't get the ball. I mean, I can't do nothing. I started getting the ball when it was 30-0. What do you want me to do? Woo, this was a lot. This was heavy. In a lot of ways. For me, Sean, I'm gonna say this first. He wasn't wrong. But this you could tell he's a rookie. Because you fall for the media bait questions. Now it's part of the story. Now you got your coach under the fire. Now he under the hot seat. Now you got to extinguish that fire. Because sometimes you got to handle those conversations behind closed doors.
Right.
You wasn't wrong. I'm going to say that again. Neighbors, you wasn't wrong. You just shouldn't have said it to the media. Because now it's bad enough Saquon Barkley is killing. So every time Saquon Barkley do a reverse hurdle spin move, people just look right at the Giants. Not many videos of people saying, thank you, Giants, thank you, New York. Y'all stupid. Your organization trash. Thank you. Ha ha ha. Then next thing you know, now you coming out and be like, we can't do nothing. They ain't even give me the best player of the ball. So what Giants fans thinking? Another talent finna get wasted. And now the coach is on the hot seat because of this.
Right.
Right message, wrong time. That's up for me. What's up with you, Sean?
I 100% agree with you, SB. Was his criticism accurate? Absolutely. But not the right time to say it.
No.
Again, you take that, you keep that in house, right?
Mm-hmm.
You keep it in house. Anybody watching could see what he said was accurate. Yes. Again, it was an ugly game yesterday, and also, why you wait till you're down 30-0 to finally start targeting him?
That's crazy.
Boggles the mind. Like anybody watching the game yesterday, I know every Giants fan had to be like, what are we doing? And also, again, this is part of the criticism because again, we're going to look at the quarterback. Tommy DeVito was a great story last year, right? It was, Linsanity, right? Yes,
Mamma mia, Mamma mia.
But I would think Drew Lock is a better talent.
Yes,
you have him on the roster. He was the number 2 behind Daniel Jones. Why wouldn't you elevate him and see what you have in him? Or again, is the intent to lose as many games as possible so you could have a higher draft? So again, I think it's like you said, when you say it ain't the quarterback, it ain't just the quarterback. Quarterback is part of it, but they got some major issues, and you run the risk of alienating this guy who you just brought in not 7-8 months ago because you drafted him. You run the risk of losing him, long terms, so, and not contractually losing him where he just does, it's just he don't want to be there. So, the Giants it's a mess. Both of those teams, Giants and Jets, are absolute dumpster fires right now. Just pure dumpster fires.
I always laugh. I said at least the team that actually play in New York is actually good, but
Right.
The team with the New York in their name, trash.
Right.
Trash. Sean, we got to talk about these Kansas City Chiefs. So, they obviously took their first loss last week, had a bounce back game. They ended up beating the Carolina Panthers, who's at the bottom of the league. Shout out Bryce Young, back, been playing good. He had to sit down, got himself back together. The Kansas City Chiefs barely gets out with a win, beating the Carolina Panthers 30-27. Patrick Mahomes was quoting saying, he wants some blowouts. He's tired of having these close games. And I have to agree with him. I don't want to because, they're division rivals. But I'm starting to get concerned for the Chiefs where it's like, what is going on? Why every game is a close game? They can't blow out nobody. Like, I get it. You the Chiefs, you the cream of the crop. You're going to get everybody's best every night because it's the Chiefs and everybody's watching those games. That's when you make your money. Or you somebody that's trying to get a contract, do it on that stage. That's what people look at like, oh, who is this guy? But I truly don't understand what's the problem with the Chiefs where they can't just execute a game and like how they was. Every game this season came down to like 1 or 2 drives or the last minute of the quarter. Every game.
Right.
So what is it?
So I think 2 things. That's be number 1. They have a very, very glaring weakness that teams can attack, and it's those 2 tackles on their offensive line. The interior of their offensive line, Tooney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith. That's the core of their offensive line. They're very good.
Mm-hmm.
But those 2 tackles, you can literally, just target them, and teams are attacking that, and that's a part of it offensively. The other part, I think, SB, is they're not necessarily an explosive offensive team in terms of they don't hit a lot of big plays at all. If I asked you how many 300 passing yard games Patrick Mahomes has this season, take a guess how many you think he has.
At minimum, at least 5.
He's got 1.
1
300-yard passing game.
That ain't Mahomes like.
That's not Mahomes like. Now, he's had a couple where he's gotten close. He's had like a couple 290s, 291s or whatever, but he's got 1 300-yard passing game. So that factors in. I also think, SB, they're getting everybody's best. They are the 2-time defending champs. They get everyone's best shot. That also factors in as well. And they only got 2 double-digit wins this year, a 10-point win and a 13-point win. All the rest of their wins have been single digits. So, and obviously they got the 1 loss. I think it's just a function of they are just they're the team with the target on their back right now. Now, this Friday, Black Friday, they got a chance to get right because they play the Raiders. It's a good chance to put together that blowout win you're looking for. Because all
Gardner Minshew being out too.
No Gardner Minshew, and I don't think AOC is back yet either because he's technically hurt. So they probably may be playing against Desmond Ridder as a starter. So,
But remember, Sean, the team that always played good against your division rivals, even if they bad.
Right. So, that said, if you want that blowout, this is the week to try to get it. Because, again, it doesn't get much easier because you got the Chargers the week after. Then you got to go to Cleveland. Then you got Houston, who's, kind of teetering right now, but they still win the AFC South. So, you got some tough games coming up. So if you're looking for that 1 blowout, this is the week, I think, to get it against the Raiders.
Yep, we got to see how it happens. So, Sean, because we got a game coming up in a second right now. We're going to talk about it. But I got to get a little bit of NBA in because we got a lot of returns coming in. So, we always do the NFL injury bug. We're going to do the NBA injury bug. But this is how we're going to do it. I'll bring the player up. You going to tell me him returning or making his debut because we got 1 player making his debut. Is it a difference maker or no difference at all? It's just going to be the same for this team. All right. For the one guy who's making his debut, Mr. Kristaps Porzingis is making his debut with the Celtics versus the Clippers. Is Kristaps Porzingis making his debut, return to injury, is a difference maker or no difference at all?
Absolute difference maker. We saw what he did when he came back in the finals last year. He's just going to make them even more dynamic. They've been able to, get some good minutes from their young bigs. But to get Kristaps back, I think certainly will help Al Horford not have to play so many minutes as well. This is an absolute difference maker. And, we know, again, he also gives them a little bit of a lob threat around the rim offensively. We know he's a guy who's a good help defender, but also a good weak side shot blocker. This is an absolute big deal for them getting him back and big difference maker getting him back.
Oh, I have to definitely agree with you on him being a difference maker. Like you said, Kristaps Porzingis, the dynamic of this team stretches more because I feel like sometimes this team get lost in the three ball, in love with three ball too much. I think the ability to score inside and out with Kristaps Porzingis and also his ability to stretch the floor helps the team out a lot, and especially his defensive ability. I know he lost a little bit of his foot speed, but his ability to protect the rim and just to be a body and just the presence there helps out this team, and they are a difference. He's the guy. They are a different team with him on the floor. Next up for the New Orleans Pelicans, CJ McCollum, difference maker or no difference?
I'm going to say no difference only because they got so many other guys out until they get their full team back. Obviously, DeJounte Murray, Zion, until they get their full team back. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference.
And Brandon Ingram out too at the moment too.
And now BI is out as well. So I'm going to say not much difference, but the caveat is it's because of all the other guys that are out. Until they have a full team, full roster, I don't think it's going to make much difference.
I agree with you with the no difference, but my reason is different. I just feel like the experiment of this team should be over with. Then you add the dynamic of DeJounte Murray, then I'm still in my masters like, where do you fit CJ McCollum in? Unless he comes off the bench. Now, if he comes off the bench, then now we talking. Now this could be a difference maker. But how I think they're gonna do it, they gonna start him, but I don't like it. I think this team should be blown up. Also, that's another guy at some point in time we're gonna talk about should they get rid of him if he ain't got no value no more. And it is looking even more bad. I don't know if you've seen when Zion got his back tattoo. And that man looking like me out there with a dad belly. It is bad enough they put, which ain't fair to him because LeBron is like the top tier guy when it comes to take care of your body. It was like LeBron at 40 and Zion at like 20 something, and it looks bad.
Can I make a trade suggestion, SB?
Okay.
When they get Brandon Ingram back, not saying it's going to happen, but I would like to see them trade Brandon Ingram to Portland for DeAndre Ayton.
Okay. Would you think Portland will do that though?
I think Portland would have to at least consider it because it seems that Klingon and Robert Williams are, going to be their rotational bigs right now. Obviously, they just drafted Klingon. They want to play them with their young guys and Scoot and Shaden Sharp. I don't think Ayton's not a part of your future, realistically, once you drafted Klingon and you still have Robert Williams.
Right.
So, to me, it just seems like it would be a good way to get off of that contract long term. You take on Ingram, perhaps maybe Ingram's a free agent after this season, but perhaps you use Ingram maybe in a sign and trade, or maybe you keep Ingram. I don't know if they would keep Ingram, but my point is, it just seems like it would be a win for both teams to do that deal. Just my thoughts.
Okay. Next one on the list. Difference maker or no difference? Kevin Durant returning. I
mean, he's Kevin Durant. You know his name.
You know his name. He's KD. That's how he gets. Hey, look, always gonna be a difference maker to that man retire. They're playing with KD.
So yeah, it's
K.
You know his name.
You know his name. Like, I ain't gonna argue with KD until he retire. He always gonna be a difference maker. It's Kevin Durant. His teammate though, Bradley Beal, difference maker or no difference?
If he's healthy, I think he's a difference maker. I think the big question with him is, can he stay on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
That team obviously is very, very top heavy with those three guys, obviously Booker included. He's gonna stay on the floor. I think he's a difference maker if he can stay on the floor. It's just, when we were doing our predictions for this season, Phoenix was the one team we had to factor in guys missing games, and a lot of it was because of Bradley Beal. So, difference maker when you're there.
Yeah. I'm gonna say no difference for me. I've like you said, the health concern is like with Bradley Beal being so much in out the lineup. I don't even know they really got the fit dynamic down with them three. Right. And it's like, can Bradley Beal come off the bench? But now I know you got the no trade clause. I wish, honestly, Phoenix probably wishes that he didn't have no trade clause because they could try to trade him for a player that actually would help benefit the team more. I just think they just got too many of the same guys to do the same role, not enough star power guys who do different things. So Bradley Beal returning is like no difference. I think that if KD and Devin Booker could do the same thing if Bradley Beal was there or not. Last one on the list, difference maker or no difference, the return of Ja Morant.
Big difference because it's going to allow Scottie Pippen Jr. to be the role player that he's meant to be for that team.
He been killing though. Scotty been killing.
Yeah, listen, he had a good game the other night in Chicago. Obviously, playing in Dad's old arena, and but obviously Ja, we know what Ja is. Again, big thing for Ja is just stay healthy. If Ja is healthy with Bane, with Triple J, with Zach Edey, and with some of the guys they've had playing well, like Scottie Pippen Jr., back in kind of their natural roles, it'll be a big difference. And I think, again, Memphis will be right there in that top 5-6 conversation in the West.
Yeah. Before I say about difference maker, difference with Ja Morant, I was going to say the media is so messy and petty. That was like, this part of the reason why LeBron shut down the social media. Every time Scottie Pippen Jr. do something, the first father son to do this. Oh, look at this father son. I was like, oh, y'all so messy, dog. They put the picture up, father like son, study like my dad. I was like, all right, y'all know what y'all doing. Because imagine, and always I said I know they being messy because it's been a lot of sons in the league and they done did something. But every time Scottie Pippen Jr. has done something, the first thing they do is say, that's like his dad, study like his dad. I said, y'all being messy.
Well, some of it is because he was obviously on the Lakers at one point. So that's the other part of why I think they do that. Because it's be like, well, if you're the Lakers, would you rather have, this Scottie Jr.? Would you have
LeBron Jr.?
So
y'all messy, dog. Y'all messy, dog. Y'all is messy. But Ja Morant, obviously a big difference maker. One of the best point guards in the league when healthy. I ain't gonna lie, Sean, Friday, we might have to talk about another point guard too. In Charlotte, because that man might have to actually talk about that kid. But Ja's definitely a big difference maker. The Grizzlies are a totally different team with Ja Morant on the court. Like it's no question. It's Ja Morant. Once Ja on the court, it's different maker. Obviously, we got to talk about this real quick because the game is going to get ready to start. Yes. Chargers versus Ram preview. I'm gonna keep it short, simple, and brief. Balt up. We finna get this dub. And Tiffany, I'm gonna be looking for you, Tiffany. When we get this dub, Tiffany, I'm gonna be looking for you. Don't run ahead. I know the Ravens, this the Harbaugh Bowl, so we're gonna see how it go. And I know the Ravens lost last game, right? They won.
Yes.
And the Ravens are a tough team to beat, especially after a loss, but we're gonna be the team to give you the back-to-back loss. What about you, Sean? What's your preview for this game?
It's gonna be an interesting matchup. Obviously, the Ravens are highest scoring offense in the NFL, over 30 points a game. Chargers are the number one.
30. You ain't scored 30 today. That's over with.
What's the give or take? I think it's going to come down to the other side of the ball. That Chargers offense, can they generate enough, big plays, particularly against that Ravens secondary and those Ravens corners, which seem to be, the weakest link of their secondary. So that will be kind of the interesting thing. Again, you're talking about Lab McConkey, Quentin Johnson. Can those guys make enough plays? I don't know. I took the Ravens in the game. Obviously, when we did our picks, I'm still sticking with the Ravens because, again, I think the Ravens coming off of a loss are just going to be very, very – they're going to play with a great deal of focus and come out and know they need to win this game.
Yeah. Now, speaking about our picks, we got to recap our picks of the week, even though we only picked 2 games difference. So this game will determine it all tonight.
Yes.
Who won?
Yes.
We can just cut to the chase. Who won the one game, the other game you picked? It was the Cardinals versus the Seahawks, right?
Yes. So you took Arizona. I took Seattle. Seattle obviously won. So right now I'm up 1. But tonight's game does count. Mm-hmm. So, if the Chargers win, we'll be tied this week. If Baltimore wins, then obviously I'll win this week.
Okay,
I'm not gonna be petty to switch the pick, but no, obviously.
No. You locked in. Ain't no switching. You locked in.
I'm not petty white. I wouldn't do that. So
right. You locked in. Okay, Sean, episode 21. You already know my answer, and I'm only picking one player for this one. But
is this who you picked?
Oh yes, yeah. Look, you was already prepared. You already know. Episode 21. The greatest running back of all time, man. LaDainian Thompson. LaDainian Thompson, man. Episode 2.
Top five. Top 5.
Top 5 and not top 5 and not 5. Top 4 and not 4. Top 3 and not 3, Sean.
Top 5.
2 and not 2. What? LaDainian Thompson.
Top 5. No, top 5. No. It's I love LT. But no, I obviously LT, Dion, prime time. When you think about the number 21, synonymous with prime time, obviously.
Prime time, baby, prime time.
Yeah, prime time.
21 days of prep.
You know what? I'm gonna give love to another 21 who should be in the Hall of Fame. Eric Allen, cornerback, long-time cornerback, should be in the Hall of Fame. Eric Allen, he's actually a Hall of Fame finalist. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Eric Allen actually has more career interceptions than Deion Sanders. And not in the Hall of Fame, but he is a finalist, semi-finalist for the Hall of Fame.
Well, we get it.
Yeah, so Eric Allen, I'm going to say Eric Allen from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, shout out Eric Allen. Appreciate you guys. It's been another great episode of Real Take Show. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe, and join the Real Take Show Fake Today movement. We get ready to get off here because the game's going to come on. So me and Sean got to get up out of here. Peace, and we are out of here.